Yeah, well, April is Financial Literacy Awareness Month, and it's also a time when a lot of students are getting acceptance letters around from colleges, so they're planning out their lives in the future. And our organization, the National Endowment for Financial Education, is a nonprofit group that really helps people with their financial lives and so that they can make informed decisions. So this is a very important time where we think we can bring some meaningful information to families as they're dealing with that question of not only where does your student go, but how do you pay for it? Well, picking the right school is a big challenge, and it's often the first really big decision you might have to make in your life. And there's several things I think you can consider. First of all, you should look at the schools you're considering and check their graduation rate and their job placement rate in the areas of career that you're interested in. That information now is much more readily available, and I think it can really help guide a decision. The next thing you really need to do is fill out a FAFSA form, and that's a free application for federal student aid. And irregardless of your income, you should fill this form out. So, because all student aid is really based off the information that comes from that. So once the FAFSA is done, it's sent to the schools you've applied to, and then they'll come back with not only your acceptance letter, but hopefully a financial package that'll help reduce the cost of going to that institution. The next thing to do is talk to your family and have a really sort of serious adult discussion about what the family can provide so that you're all on the same page in planning out your career, and also look at the cost of 4 years, not just the first year. Because the total cost of the education is really what you need to consider, not only tuition, but room and board, technology, other things that will affect the cost of going to school. Then once you have that number, you can really start to back into some other opportunities to help reduce the cost of that. For example, Pell Grants from the federal government. If your income as a family is $40,000 or less, you may qualify for a Pell Grant. And that's a way to get money that you don't have to repay. It's not a loan, it's a grant. The other things, scholarship money, apply early, apply often. Try to find different things that might make sense for you to help reduce cost. Work-study programs can be very helpful in keeping the cost down. And you should consider all those things before you really look at the idea of borrowing money. And if you're at a point where you do want to borrow some money, start with the federal programs. Again, based on income, you may find some programs that are subsidized, so you don't have to pay interest while you're in school. The government will pay that. Also, the straight loan program is usually more flexible and cheaper than alternatives outside in the marketplace. Another thing we're seeing people consider very often is starting at a community college for a couple of years. That can be a very affordable way to keep down the total cost of debt. I mean, one of the things that we often say to people is nobody ever asks where you started college, they ask where you finished. So if saving some money by starting at a community college works for you, that might be a great way to do it. Some key questions to pay attention to there, though. Make sure the credits at the school you're going to are transferable to the school you want to end up at, and that you're going through those core program courses while you're in community college so you don't have to have duplication later on. So doing a little homework, paying attention, can really reduce the cost by going that vehicle. But once you graduate and have student debt, you really want to get on a repayment plan to try to reduce that as quickly as possible. We're actually seeing some effect on that, and when we look at the research that we're doing with people in their late 20s and early 30s, many people who have student debt are actually delaying some decisions they might make about getting married, starting families, buying houses as they work off that debt. So one of the key things is try to minimize the actual amount of the debt while you're in school. Don't feel you need to borrow the total amount available to you. Borrow what you need to stay on schedule. That could help on that repayment schedule. And try to work it off as quickly as possible. Also, if you go into some careers, nonprofit, teaching, there are actually deferment programs you can check out through the federal government. So pay attention to those. You may be very eligible for them, and it may reduce that debt much more quickly than you feared. Well, one of the things we've seen in our research is that, especially now as the economy is recovering a little bit, more students are graduating and finding jobs that we would have traditionally considered they would be applying for, that have benefits, that are permanent jobs and not temporary jobs. So the economy improving is helping that whole situation. And that's actually the good news. The other thing is people are taking it very seriously and working off that debt quickly. So I think we're doing better there, and a lot of it's just the fact that the economy is recovering. On the other hand, the people who don't finish school are the people we're most concerned about. Actually, of the people who start school and borrow money, about 33% don't finish. And they're really putting themselves a little bit behind because they don't have the certification, the qualifications, the degree that'll generate that higher level of income that'll pay off debt. So it's very key to remember that a lot of the jobs in the economy now require that advanced education. So trying to find that in an affordable way so that you're really positioned to reach your goals long term, we think is a critical step that's well worth your time. No, everything we do is free, and if you go to smartaboutmoney.org, which is our website, you can find all this information about not only paying for college, but how to run your financial life. And one of the other things just about the whole cost thing, the FAFSA form is free. So don't feel you need to pay for that at all. That is free from the Department of Education, and I think it's a great place to start. It's not only you know what you're getting, but it's a great place for the family to sit down and talk about what's realistic. I think this is a great moment for people to sit down and have an adult discussion with their now adult child about expectations and make it a discussion, not a lecture. Very often the financial aid office at the schools you're applying to can provide that assistance, or you can find different things through your own high school potentially that'll do that. Or try to find mentors, people you know in the community that'll give you some advice, people you trust. Great, thank you.